In the previous study, we began our consideration of Romans 7, verses 7 through 11, where Paul states that sin seizes an opportunity through the commandment, "You shall not covet," which produces in us all kinds of covetousness or desire. What seizes an opportunity? Sin does. Then he follows with, "I was once alive apart from the law, but when the commandment came, sin came alive and I died." What came alive? Sin did. Keep in mind that alive and died in this statement correspond to the law of sin and death in Romans 8:2, and the first two stages of the process of sowing and reaping, or resurrection, as noted in the table. Paul then states the very commandment that promised life proved to be death to me. For sin, seizing an opportunity through the commandment, deceived me, and through it killed me. Well, here we go again. What seizes an opportunity through the commandment? Sin does. And what does it do? It deceives and kills us. Now, consider this. Sin deceives us. Okay, so where does deception arise? Does it not start in the mind with what we know? Well, it does. Then sin kills us. Physically? No, can't be physical because Adam and Eve continued their natural lives for a good number of years after their trespass, though some might argue that this is why our fleshly bodies die. Personally, I don't see a spirit, if you will, needing a fleshly body after death. It was temporary from the start. But here's where we discover the true biblical meaning of death as, not the passing of this human frame, but the formation of the carnal mind, the mind set on the flesh. In keeping with this, consider the following. For we know that the law is spiritual, but I am of the flesh, sold under sin. I do not understand my own actions, for I do not do what I want, but I do the very thing I hate. Now if I do what I do not want, I agree with the law that it is good. So now it is no longer I who do it, but sin that dwells within me. Well, here we go again. When I do the very thing I hate, it is no longer I who do it, but sin that dwells within me. Sin's been a busy fella, right? All right, but let's back up the bus, my friend. What provokes my disobedience? The commandment. I was doing just fine not coveting. Then the commandment came and said, "Don't covet," and then I wanted to. This kind of messes with the head a bit, doesn't it? Now, let's ask ourselves, why would a commandment provoke the opposite of what it commands? Because there's something wrong with the commandment? No, not at all. As Paul says, the law is holy, and the commandment is holy and righteous and good. Did that which is good then bring death to me? By no means. It was sin, producing death in me through what is good, in order that sin might be shown to be sin, and through the commandment might become sinful beyond measure. Wait a minute. What? Sin seizes an opportunity through the commandment, deceives me, kills me, and causes me to do the very thing I hate. Did I miss anything? Yes. The reason why it does these things. Well, what is it? If we go back to the Genesis parable and consider the first mention of disobedience, if you will, it was the serpent. No, not some fallen angel flying around a literal garden and talking to Adam and Eve, but the whisper of the haughty spirit within, the pride that results from our human form and its attachments that subtly, but very effectively, convinces us that we will not die. But we do. We fall. From where? According to Isaiah 14:12, it's heaven. You mean that wonderful place somewhere above where the streets are paved with pure gold? And you can eat all the pizza and ice cream you want and never get a tummy ache or get fat? No, not that heaven. How about the heaven where truth exists, where no lie can be found? How about that one? And so Jesus tells us, you shall know the truth, and the truth shall make you free. And this brings us full circle back to something I said earlier in this series. Who is Satan? He is the ignorance of pride. After all, when we think we know the truth when we don't, that's deception. And why does deception have such a hold on us? Because of pride. We don't like thinking that maybe, just maybe, we're wrong about what we believe, not only in the religious realm, but in the secular realm as well, because deception is not as much a head issue as it is a heart issue. That's why Paul says, Adam was not deceived, but the woman being deceived was in the transgression. I've said it before, pride draws pride. When we are full of pride, we are drawn to those who are full of it too. That's why collectives, including religious ones, work so well. We have the truth, the serpent whispers, but they don't. Who doesn't want to believe that, right? But you see, my friend, that's how the serpent puts on sheep's clothing. So how do we recognize such deception? It's easy, really. If your collective leaves you with a superiority complex, you might just want to take a second look. Now, let's come full circle back to the tree of knowledge of good and evil. One would think that such a tree and its fruit is certainly beneficial, right? After all, don't we want us and our kids to know good from evil, right from wrong? Of course. So why would God tell Adam not to eat of its fruit? Because, my friend, fruit denotes the spirit of something. So when the Lord tells Adam not to eat of the fruit of the tree of knowledge, he's telling him what Paul tells us in the following. Now, about food sacrificed to idols. We know that we all possess knowledge. Knowledge puffs up, but love builds up. All of us have knowledge, right? All of us know right and wrong, right? No, we don't. Well, why not? Because when the spirit of it is pride or the excessive love of the self, then the self calls the evil good and the good evil. We turn it around to justify our lawless behavior. That said then, food sacrificed to idols is any knowledge consumed that exalts the self in the place of the Lord. And the self is more of an idol today than it has ever been, thanks to technology and social media. Regarding the scribes and Pharisees in his day, Jesus said, the scribes and the Pharisees sit on Moses' seat, so practice and observe whatever they tell you, but not what they do, for they preach but do not practice. Following this, Jesus says they tie up heavy burdens, hard to bear, and lay them on people's shoulders, but they themselves are not willing to move them with their finger. They do all their deeds to be seen by others. They love the place of honor at feast, and the best seats in the synagogues, and being called rabbi by others. How does Jesus sum this up a few verses later? The greatest among you shall be your servant. Whoever exalts himself will be humbled, and whoever humbles himself will be exalted. No question about it, Jesus addresses the pride of the religious leaders of his time, even telling them, "Woe to you, scribes and Pharisees, hypocrites, for you shut the kingdom of heaven in people's faces, for you neither enter yourselves, nor allow those who would enter to go in." What eventually happens with these religious leaders? They crucify the Lord. For that, dear brother and sister, is just how dangerous religious pride can become. I'm inclined to believe that there is no prejudice or hatred stronger than religious prejudice or hatred. This is one reason why I don't believe in the doctrine of hell as eternal conscious torment. Why would the Lord ever introduce such a prejudicial teaching into our hearts and minds. So, what is the problem? It's not the knowledge, but the spirit behind what we believe. Here's what Jesus tells the believing Jews in John chapter 8. You are of your father, the devil, and the desires of your father you want to do. He was a murderer from the beginning and does not stand in the truth, because there is no truth in him. When he speaks a lie, he speaks from his own resources, for he is a liar and the father of it. Note that Jesus doesn't say that Satan is their father. Rather, it's the devil. This is the word meaning a traducer. Traduce means to speak badly of or tell lies about someone in order to ruin their reputation. It is a formal way of saying to slander, defame, or speak ill of someone. It differs from simple criticism because it implies a deliberate attempt to misrepresent the truth and damage someone's good name. This is a good place to stop, but be sure to join me for the next study. Please feel free to like, comment, or subscribe, and I sincerely thank all of you for being a part of Grain of Wheat Publishing.